Well, after hours of messing around with it, I still think it's time to upgrade. I have these 12 gauge wires on here, and at that, it gives me 3.8 volts at 70 amps. And it's been a lot of fun, I guess, and I've used it a lot, hours and hours. But I can do better. I believe I have a lot of room on this transformer on the secondary. Let's give you an idea of what it can do. 70 amps can just pop this nail. It's pretty thin. And it's not the fastest either, so it's only 70 amps. I like this to be popped way before now. Like that. I would like this to have popped a little sooner than that. It's pretty fun and all, but I'm just thinking of buying probably either 6 gauge or 8 gauge wire. I'm just gonna rewire this. Got a lot more fun with it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go probably on eBay. I'm gonna buy some 6 gauge wire. See how much room I have to play around with. I'm just gonna open it up now and take a look at it, and I'll just get one last shot of it before I take it all apart. And it does say right there, main standby. It does pull about 1/4 of an amp, a little more than 1/4 amp. So that's not something I can take control of. It's a transformer from the 70s, so I really have no way of rewiring it. It's the primaries that aren't wired very well. They're only wrapped around so many times. And transformers nowadays would be wrapped around a lot more than this one is. Although, even though it's not very many times around, the wire is still thicker and it doesn't even get warm, even when I'm using this, pulling, almost 3 amps, which isn't much, but still, it can handle that just fine. I just had this cord laying around, and it's fairly thick wire inside of it because it was used for a heater, so I decided to use this. So it got very good contacts on here, so I'm just going to stick with that. Use the power strip as the main cord. So now here's just the last look. I put the transformer pretty close to the edge, so it'll stay up like that if I wanted it to. Or even, like this would be just fine too. So I have it cut very close to both of the edges, so I can set it down if I needed to. That was in a small space. And like I did when I was putting it together, I'll also just briefly show me taking it apart. But all the configurations would be the same, just with thicker wire. I may end up having to cut some more metal off of this. There's a small opening. I'll get it on here. There's a small opening on the side of here. I may have to make that bigger because it just fits with these wires here with it. This originally probably had like 8 wires coming out of it from the secondary, and it'll fit with these 2 bigger ones. But with the 6 gauges, it might not work so well. I have to do all this because this cover, these are 2 covers on the transformer. Those both have to come off. There's the fuse. I already showed that in the first video. I'm just going to take that fuse out so these wires are separate. And this will just lift right off. Then I have 2 more washers on each side, each corner. So it would look like that. Alright, and with that off, I'm going to move to the transformer. And these screws, they go through this first cover and they screw into the back cover. And that's the last one. And I can set it back up. And then these just slide off. This one will anyway. This just got the wires around it. But luckily it doesn't form a complete loop. So I can just pull it out. I can just slide it out of here. And that's where we were, back inside here. Alright, and here's the transformer. Covers off, fuse bypassed. When I measured the amps, I just took the two clips here, I just clipped them together, and I got a reading. I got about 72 amps, and I just rounded it up off to 70. Just as a test, I have vice grips clamping down this wire on this very small paintbrush. It's hollow, it's very thin, and then I have this just crimped. See if this is even hot enough. That is somewhat hot. Some oil on that, it just drips right off. Look at that, it just smokes. So, I mean, it's got some amps, but I'd like more. So now this is all hot and smoking. Let's go over to the transformer. It's unplugged. Transformer, nothing yet. These windings right here are very, very hot. It hurts my finger after touching it for a couple seconds. Secondary windings, I'm on back. Very small amount of heat. They're just barely warm. I can just feel a little bit of heat. Maybe like 30 seconds of, maybe a little more, probably like 45 seconds of it. Short circuit. And that was 70 amps going through this wire. Even this wire right here is warm. Now at first I didn't know what wire I should put on there. This here is 4-gauge wire. What I want to do is I want to test to see if this would fit the transformer. I don't think it would. This is a little too thick. And here's the transformer again with everything off. The secondary windings. Just as it was before I started all this modifying. I'm just going to see what 4-gauge wire will do. There is room for 4-gauge. But will it wind? Let's find out. Alright, and with 4-gauge wire I'm only able to get, what is that? Probably 1.5 turns, and I'm just going to test it right now. Have this shorted out, and I've got this same paintbrush clamped down, which I believe I had short-circuited for 45 seconds, and I was able to get pretty hot, enough to make oil smoke. So we'll see how good this goes. Alright, turn it on. Not a very big hum to this, comparing to what it was. And I've got about 76 amps, which is just about the same that I was before. That's really close to what it was. I don't see much of a difference. That's going through this. I should probably try short-circuiting it completely. I'm going to try short-circuiting this completely. This is heating up too much. Let's try to get something thicker to put across this and to test the amps properly. Alright, so here it goes, completely short-circuited. So with this 4-gauge wire I'm getting 221 amps. So yes, there's a major difference here in 4-gauge wire compared to 12. Because I've got 230 amps. I can feel the induction in that. But I was able to get this bar hot. This is a pretty thick bar. It's a 3/8 drive extension. I was able to get that hot. And this wire here is only warm. No, primaries are cool. So let's see, 240 amps. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's definitely a lot more than what I had. But the voltage is so low, it won't be able to overcome the resistance that's on all my wiring. I mean, if I hooked up some of that wire over there, I'd like to see how well or how fast this goes up in smoke. There's too much resistance when you get too long of wires. That's the only problem. I just received my 8-gauge wires today. And I just wired it up. I was able to get almost 6 wraps on it. And I've already done all the measurements. I have got 2.6 volts. So it went from 3.8 to 2.6. And I got 110 amps out. And that went from 70 amps up to 110. Main standby is still the same. And I still get about 2.7 amps on the mains. So I've lowered the volts, increased the amps. Still giving my original amperage pulling on the mains about the same. So, turned out good. I'm going to start putting this all back together. I'm still debating on maybe whether or not I should still get a little bit bigger wire, because this 8 gauge is pretty good, but I could probably get 6 gauge on it. I've got my Variac on order, and if I lower the volts too much, then I won't be able to break the resistance of thin wire. So I'm going to put it all back together like this.